My wife of 7 years 33F just confessed to cheating the entire time we were dating 33M. This is a long story, as it goes over a 15-year period. I met my wife out at a club back when we were 19. We both loved to party, and we did a lot. I was already in a FWB situation with another girl when I met her, which I had kept going in the first few months we were dating. Over the next couple of years up until I was 21, we would have these massive fights and always be as if we had broken up, and I would end up cheating on her again with this woman. It was a terrible thing to do, and I had always felt guilty about it. I wanted to give it a real chance with her, so I ended things for good and tried to make a real go of the relationship and then most likely break up. But that never happened. Our relationship grew, and we got closer. We both finished university, I started a business and she started working, and things were good. I even took her to Hawaii to propose to her. A few months before getting married, I started having serious doubts about marrying this woman with this guilt over me. Everybody, including myself, saw her as this sweet and innocent girl, which having made cheating on her so much worse. After a couple of crazy weeks, she said that she still wanted to get married and we would work on it, so we did. The next 7 years of the marriage were difficult, and I don't mean the marriage is hard difficult, I mean it was ducked up. She went into a massive depression, which she would say was all my fault. I was made to feel like absolute it nearly every day. All that love, romance and connection had completely died. Her drinking kept escalating and escalating. I have been punched in the face more times than I can count. I have been bitten and needed medical treatment, 4 been stabbed in the head with a wine glass, and I have been tortured with sleep deprivation. We sometimes went months without time, and when COVID started she basically moved into the guest room for an entire year. A few months back she tried to kill herself with medications and alcohol. I spent the entire Easter weekend avoiding my family while I sat with her in the hospital while she detoxed for the week, followed by 3 weeks in rehab. Since she has been out, she was supposed to continue her sessions, but she hasn't gone even once and drinks every day again. Most of yelling and screaming is directed at me for being such a piece of shit to her, and hurting her so much, and how much she hates me. Mind you, in the 7 years we have been together she has worked about 15 jobs with her multiple degrees, none of which lasted for than a few months, mostly because of her drinking. So I have paid every single bill and expense for basically the entire time I have ever known her. I give money to her poor family overseas. I am always there in every single way for both her and her family. Whereas she does nothing like that for me. I recently purchased us a really awesome first house which I had to pay for entirely on my own, so now the time is coming for us to have kids. This fear of the new house and kids drove her into a mad drunken rage where she was furious at me that I never want to discuss what I did with my FWB. The main reason for this was after 7 years of being tortured by this topic I hate talking about it and shut down immediately, especially if she's been drinking. I blamed myself for all of this. After this I realized by not being open and talking about it, she felt like I was lying to her, so we sat down and had a normal talk just discussing what happened. There was nothing I had never told her before, I just was more comfortable talking about it. We have had hundreds of drunken nights over the years, having deep conversations talking about our history and life, and many times we had that question, is there anything else? Is there anything else I should know? She always answered no, but I never felt that was true. I had accepted she had done something and I would never know what it was, so there wasn't really anything I could do about it. A life went on. The next day, or later into the night, she let it slip, that she had ducked one other guy I didn't know about. When I pressed her who, she told me it was her old boyfriend from another state, which happened about a year before we got married. Instantly, it reminded me of a time when we were dating and she had left her phone with me when she left to go home. Followed by a message from her along the lines, "Hey, I left my phone, can you hold it for me, I love you, good night." About a few minutes later an email notification popped up on her phone for a hotel booking confirmation. She was supposed to be at work. I went a bit crazy thinking about what was going on, so in the morning I drove to this hotel, which was near the airport over an hour away, to see what was going on. I saw her car there, and managed to call her room and find her number. I stormed in there like a crazy person, trying to catch her in the act. There was screaming, security guards, it was crazy, but she was alone and I was forced to leave. I was made to feel like a crazy pischo, that she just wanted some space from work and this was the cheapest hotel she could find. I'm such a ducking idiot. So as it turns out, I was a few hours early, and this was the third time they had been meeting up. She tried to explain that I couldn't understand because what they had was real love and affection and desire. That they just wanted each other so much and she didn't have that with me. The next few days after she told me I've been in a bit of shock. I couldn't believe it, but at the same time I wasn't surprised she had cheated. But what cut deep was that she was so in love with this dude while I was doing all the work of the boyfriend and relation and getting none of the real love or affection. What a piece of acid, to be honest, with dating apps and how the world is now. He didn't have enough choice, he had to duck up our relationship. This guy is getting married in a few weeks and I'm so tempted to duck up his life like he is mine. Anyway, I didn't get angry with her about it. I had cheated, so it only seemed fair, right? I just needed time to process it. That was the beginning of the trickle truth. So in these last few days it turns out she was cheating most of the time we were dating and engaged. I understand I didn't own her. We weren't married, and hell, if you want to sleep around, go for it, but it has to be equal. I just feel used. My friends always thought I was crazy for letting her go out clubbing without me, but I trusted her friend who I also saw as her friend. But really, a girls' night meant going out to get drunk and hook up with whoever they could, so I will never really know the extent of this. But so far this is where we are at. Ducked 2 different exes in the first year we were dating. Was having a lesbian relationship with a friend of hers pretty much the entire time we were dating, who she invited to our wedding. These two would always go out clubbing together and not invite me, so that they could spend the entire night making out, being together and then going home to duck. Had another S-time experience with one of her other female friends. Ducked this old boyfriend 3 times but let slip he wasn't flying here for her because he has family here, so who knows how many times. Ducked 2 different random guys in nightclub bathrooms with no protection within 6 months of us getting married. And basically, was making out with possibly hundreds of people anytime she went out without me. This is all I have been told so far, and I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with all of this. This woman has used me, abused me, manipulated me, physically and emotionally assaulted me. I put up with all of it because I felt like I had done such a terrible thing to her and she would never let it go. For 7 years I have been constantly attacked for how my actions have hurt her. She didn't even attempt to pretend to forgive me and move forward or even love me. She never tried to make our marriage anything other than pain and misery. I can't understand how she could have done this to me. I get it, I was a fool too. People do stupid things and it sounds like she had a real blast, so I really doubt she regrets it at all. But this is where I am really struggling. I was never wrong. Every single time I was suspicious and things didn't make sense was a time when it was going down behind my back. As you have heard, our marriage, especially at the beginning, was unbelievably bad. The hate she had for me, the lies. One time I found her booking secret hotels again, because she had lost her job and needed somewhere to go. She had been fired and didn't tell me, and then used what little money she had on a hotel room for herself. While we were really struggling financially, and we really needed a second income, every single time she would let me down. So, I have had a lot of suspicions during our marriage, so I am finding it extremely hard to believe someone who has lied and manipulated me nearly every day I have known her would have just stopped because she was married. She had got away with it all. Now she's depressed and ashamed. She says she didn't know what real love is, and now she finally feels it with me. She loves me so much, am her entire world apparently. That she struggled with her S-time-uality being bi S-time-ul and that she had to hide it. This is a BS point to me, for always known she was bi and never held it against her, and would have been very open to exploring all this with her, but she keeps using her S-time-uality as some kind of excuse for what she has done to me. Whilst always reminding me that she would never be open to sharing me with someone. A few months ago she was telling me she wanted to go outside of our marriage to explore having S-time with a woman, but isn't okay with me going outside of the marriage equally. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, that has been my last 7 days and I'm not processing it well. If I'm not drinking I just start breaking down. I have given this woman everything, and all she ever did was take and use everything against me. The only thing I know is that I don't really know it and I never really will, and that I don't trust a word out of her mouth. In the past she has used this kind of stories to break me for a few months, to either recant or tell me she made it up. Which now I have to question, as perhaps none of it was made up. I have worked from home for years, and because she's an unemployed bum she's around basically 24 hours a day every day, so I don't think anything has been going on for some time. But it feels like it's just too late, and will definitely happen again. It was just all so much, not a few times but a ridiculous level of times. I mean, I am sure it can get worse, and I am also sure it probably will. How could I possibly have a family with this? Obviously, Therese, so much I don't know, not that it really matters I suppose. My two biggest issues is how I have been treated during this marriage. If what she says was true, I would never have been treated the way that I was for this entire time. The betrayal from someone I have sacrificed everything for. The last thing that happened was over 7 years ago, but it's not like these 7 years have been great. I was already ready to leave at the rehab stage because things had gotten so bad. Sorry how long this was. If anyone got through it all, thank you for being there. This has been one of the most difficult weeks for me, and to be perfectly honest, am not holding up well at all. How do I survive this? I never feel like I'll be the same person again. TLDR. Wife had been sleeping around and hooking up with countless people while we were dating and engaged. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, she's an abuser, cheater, liar. Basically, you are married to a total piece of acid and you need to get yourself out of that situation. She is making excuses for being a legitimately bad human being. Don't fall for it. Redditor 2, list of steps you need to do. 1. Change the locks. 2. Pack all of her things and tell her to leave. 3. Block her on everything: phone, social media, etc. 4. Find a divorce lawyer and start divorce proceedings. 5. Do not communicate with her at all. If you need to say something, do it through the lawyers. 6. Get therapy. Redditor 3, 1 standard test. 2 divorce.